Yo, good evening, everyone. It's Monday, Airfix and Chill, and we've got quite a few in the chat already, over 100 comments. So thank you very much, everyone who's joined us tonight in the comments on the whatever on the right hand side. We've got 7 in the chat. I don't know where John Parker is. I've sent an invite to Nigel, so he may pop on later. But you've got us guys, and I went to Yeovil Model Show on Sunday or yesterday. I've done a video on it, which will probably come out tomorrow. But cracking event again inside the hot air balloon, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's like his tent that's blown up with air. It's a sports centre, and it's basically inside a bouncy castle, basically, and you show off your models there in one of the areas. But we were talking, and I was talking to Andy from Scale Model Shed, and I just said, "How's it going?" Because he's selling up. He's selling all of his kits, and he said the summer's crap. He said the shop goes dead, and I could use that space for something else because he restores cars, doesn't he? Like Bentleys and stuff, old school stuff. And then as I was going around talking, quite a few actually said, "I can't wait for the winter nights to draw in because I'll be back on the workbench." So discussion tonight really is scale modeling really a winter hobby? Is it something that you do more of in the winter, autumn sort of times? And then when spring and summer turn up, you're out, when the sun's shining, which is basically on a Wednesday once a year in England anyway, where you go out and get yourself a tan so your turkey teeth really glisten, if you know what I mean. So, that's really a discussion tonight. So we'll start off with who tends to model more in the winter months than they do in the summer months? Who wants to go first? And there's always silence. I don't want to pick you. I'm going to get like a basket and you put your car keys in and you pick one that goes first.
So for me, I certainly don't model more in the winter than I do in the summer. But having said that, my job is very unique. So I work shifts. Winter is the busiest period of the year in my job. So if anything, I probably model less in the winter because work is busier. And I think for the majority of people in the hobby that work a more regular job or more regular hours, I think that's definitely a thing. The winter lends itself, depending where you are in the world, lends itself to modeling, to the hobby, because during the summer we have more daylight, people are out with families and that sort of stuff. So I think it definitely, you can see that if you run any sort of social media platform, it's always busier in the winter months. Always. But from a personal point of view, it's not seasonal for me.
Yeah. Fair enough. What about you, James? Are you more winter or more summer?
More winter.
Yeah.
Because in the summer it's too sodding hot. Especially for painting.
Fucking hell, where do you live?
Kingston.
It's not hot anywhere in the UK.
No, it is warm down here. Most of the times, obviously, the temperature record it gets broken at Heathrow.
Yeah, but people model in Thailand. It's warm there.
Yeah. What about you, Brett? Are you more of a winter or a summer man when it comes to scale modeling?
Well, since I live in a place where winter's between 6 and 8 months long, our summer is so small that there's no point in stopping. We just keep doing everything year round.
Fair play.
The sun comes out, we take advantage of it, but we go back and still do our modeling and stuff.
I just seem to think that when in the UK, for instance, because it's so light outside, we tend to do more on the outside. So when we do come in, when it starts to get dark, say like at 8:30, 8:45, with the evening's finished with, and so to get on the bench after is really difficult, especially because I don't know, the average time for me on a workbench is about 2.5 hours. If I get home at 6, have a bite to eat. You're looking at 7 o'clock. Then I sit on my chair and and get a model out and start working on it. By 9:30, I'm thinking, I need to go for a shower now, and that basically breaks up the evening for me. As I said, Monday nights is out because we're doing Airfix and chill. Every other Wednesday, I'm at a model club, but any other night, if I'm available, or it's about 2.5 hours I spend on the workbench, and because I can't do anything outside, and I don't really want to be outside when it's dark. There's nothing more comforting than grabbing a hot drink or something and sitting there and on the workbench and picking out me latest Airfix kit to build, or me Revell kit or whatever. What are you, Sonny? Are you winter sort of modeler? Because I assume that in the summertime, your job must make you work past 5 o'clock in that, is it? Or because
no, we finish it. No, we finish at 5. We do have the odd sort of events, but to be honest with you, it's usually maybe 2 or 3 times a year that it's like a late. But
yeah,
I spend literally all year round and quite a lot of time doing this.
Fair play.
It's nothing. Very little gets in the way. I don't have a social life, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Haven't got kids either, have you?
No, God no, Jesus. So no, I spend a lot. I mean, because I've been a smoker as well, so every time I come out for a smoke, I always have a tinker. So I spend pretty much every night. I'm in here at some point having a mess. It's generally why I get stuff done quite quickly, because I do quite a little bits, but little and often sort of thing.
I wish I could do that.
But then if the missus is off and at work and I'm off, then that's an entire 8 hours in here. So, quite a lot of time, to be fair.
Well, and that says, what is a social life?
Exactly, yeah.
And see people and not just be stuck to your workbench, I guess. As a shop owner then, Alex, do you see much difference in summer and winter when it comes to selling kits and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, definitely the summer is slower. And it's because, and I think this is why a lot of people think of modeling as a winter hobby. It's because there's more possibilities in the summer. So there's more possible distractions for your time. So you can go to the pub and sit in the garden and have a nice meal with your mates. In the winter, you can go to the pub, but it might be raining. So there's a barrier of activation to go there. It's cold. So it's the same in the shop. The barrier of going in is that there are 1,000 other places. There's castles and stately homes and picnics and barbecues and going around your friends and all of those things to distract your kids, and all that kind of thing. Fates, summer fates and things. And they tend to be less in the winter or, whichever is your inclement season. Because obviously if you're in Australia, it's backwards. But it's definitely, and I think, as YouTubers, we see it in social media. The summer tends to be slower. And it's the same kind of thing, right? Because in the winter, you don't have to go anywhere to look at your phone or to be on your computer. For me personally, before I started YouTube and the shop, the summer was actually slightly busier for me because a bit like Luke, I had the kind of available hours I had were more in the summer than they were in the winter because my modeling, like man cave, was outside. So it's cold, it was unheated. So like I couldn't really spray at night and stuff. Whereas in the summer, longer evenings, I could charge at the compressor, I could spray to like 10 in the evening, still have light. Especially as the kids grew up, and they're doing their own thing, that freed up those evenings to do that. So I think it's really, really variable depending on, where in the world you are, where you are in your life, like you said, with kids and stuff, what your job is, what other things are out there. But there are going to be trends in certain areas. I think in the UK, it tends to be a bit more winter-based.
Yeah. Fair shout. I just, because somebody mentioned to me that I thought, I think, now, and also the buzz of Telford for me, and then the beginning of Telford, then you get there and you come away inspired, and then January hits after Christmas and you've been given a few kits to build, and then March kicks in and that buzz kind of disappears for me. And I'm looking at, what's happening at week evenings, and, I can, because it's busier outside, it's nice to be when it's light. When it's dark, I prefer being under the light of a bright light under the workbench sort of thing. So,
well, like you say, Moss, come March, there's often, or February, March, it's that sort of spring cleaning bit, the jobs that have built up during the winter, because some bits fell off the shed of stuff. It's getting warm enough to be able to go out and do those things now. You've got to mow the lawn, all those things you didn't have to do in the winter. So again, more things calling for your time that aren't modern.
Yeah, fair shout.
As a shop owner and a YouTuber now, it's just I can model anytime. It's great.
I guess that's a good thing to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd still prefer more money, but
yeah.
have a proper job. But
Proper. But are you still looking for another job, or are you just concentrating on the job?
It hasn't been easy. But...
No, I can imagine. I can imagine indeed. Going through the chat, a lot of people here are saying that they seem to jump in the winter months and model more. Sam wrote, I prefer natural daylight for modeling, so I do more in the summer, although I usually model in multiple short spells, 30 minutes each, rather than a long spell. If you've got that privilege of being able to do that during the daytime, for instance, my main focus is my antiques and vintage side of in business. So during the day, I'm looking on inline and sorting things out for internet with auctions and researching pieces and looking at silver and gold pricing and all this sort of stuff. So to actually have that, and don't get me wrong, one thing I do is that when I do my catalog videos, I'll take a day off work. When I do, and I started doing them again, my catalog flick throughs, I always do them in the conservatory because of the glossy paper of the catalogs. It's better to have natural light from my conservatory, where it's it's light all around, not just a beam of light, which is what happens. Even though I've got diffusers and stuff, it still reflects the paper. But I found in the conservatory, where there's light all the way around on the table there, to record those videos is a lot easier. But other than that, for me, it's always been, if I've got time in an evening, I'll jump on the bench and get something done. Riley Chef Model Shed says, very much a winter modeler. The lakes, fells and garden are my summer pursuits. Yeah.
He likes his ice cream.
He likes his ice cream, does he?
Yes.
You can eat ice cream and model at the same time.
Yeah. Darryl Masters, right. To be honest, dodgy thunderstorm in summer, I sit at the bench in my budgie smugglers. Because it is warm when it's a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
It is quite warm, beneath to
when my spray booth was in the loft, I used to sit up there in my underwear. It was so slightly not.
God, the visions. With winter arriving, it's the perfect excuse to get some models done. I've got the next 2 weeks off pre-Telford to get cracking on. When I worked in a model shop, winter's always busier. So, yeah. In response to what's a social life, Richard wrote, what we're doing now counts as a little social. Yeah, that's quite true. Yeah, it's quite true. You can model and eat ice cream at the same time. I've done it. I can imagine, with your pint of Ben and Jerry's there and there, or your cookie dough or your fish food, whatever it is. So, Michael Myers writes, I'm ready to do some modeling day or night. However, I can't go more than 2 hours at a time, or my back lets me know about it. Raise your model bench up. I know a guy who's got a bad back, and he's got the bench up to here, just under his chin, and you will be surprised how well it works.
Yeah,
up here. I never realized it. When I was looking at replacing this bench here, unfortunately, this is a proper office desk, workbenches, you know, the ones you see them in the old job centre, because it came from a job centre, this one. So many drug deal has been done on that desk, I tell you. But you know, I looked at IKEA to see if I could get one of those up and down desks. But they don't do them in the width that the width that I need, especially the back of it as well. But if I could raise the desk, because I do like standing up modeling as well. I've done it a few times where I've stood up. When I first started modeling, if you see some of my old videos, I had a kitchen workbench, and I had the cupboards from a kitchen unit underneath, and it was a little bit higher, and I used to stand up and model. And then sit down.
You used to have a vase of flowers strategically placed, didn't you? But
yeah, steady on. But yeah, definitely something to look at. You know, to raise.
I made mine. Mine's probably about chest up. Mine's about chest up. Yeah. So this desk is probably the same as yours, but because I got them from work.
Yeah.
And they removed the legs to the top because they were really low originally.
Yeah.
But they removed the legs, and I thought, well, I need some new tops. So I've got seven of them, and then I got like I think they're like 4x4 bits. So I made obviously the two legs.
Yeah.
A brace between the two legs, and then one in the middle. I think cost a lot. No, but make it to your own height, you know. Yeah. I know what you mean though. It's good having the self up and downy sort of things. Like
that. Well, it sounds really thing, but if you look at in Chinese factories where they're making the iPhone, you see the benches up here, don't you? Because all they're doing is that, and because closer to your eyes, you clip closer. If you're leaning over, you're leaning down onto your bench. But if you have it up to you, it's one of those things. I'd like to have a bench that's adjustable, or a desk that's adjustable. That's what I'm saying. I think it will help. So, but just if you've got a bad back, try that. Just raise your bench. You'll be surprised how closer you are to the action, sort of thing. And that right. So I used to stand up when I airbrushed. Well, yeah,
I always airbrush standing up.
You airbrush standing up, do you?
Always.
I said when I used to stand, I'll say when I used to not really airbrush, but rattle can was always outside. Hanging up on the washing line, spraying away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. John, you jump in there. You tend to model about the same on average throughout the year, do you?
Yeah, because it certainly gets cold here in the winter. Nothing compared to what Brett has to deal with, but it's usually like kind of mid-November through March. It does get very cold, and you're not outside. In the
Can
summer,
I ask you, John? Can I ask you, John? Do you barbecue and model?
Do I what?
Do you barbecue and model at the same time?
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, I do. Because, I can put stuff on the grill and come and. It gets very hot and humid here in the summertime.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
So it's about the same. Yeah.
There's quite a few people quite a few people who stand up now, and airbrush and Phil says I can't work at normal desk heights. I have my bench raised higher. So yeah, there is positivity in that. Just sometimes you find something and it works for you. And like I said, I think that if you find that you got issues with bending over, then raise your bench up, and it's a different experience, definitely. But yeah, I'm just enthralled at the fact that you can get your Tamiya extra thin out, put your fuselage together, and go out and turn over your latest brisket you've got in your barbecue there, John. Do you know what I mean?
Flip the chicken,
He accidentally gets the Tamiya extra thin and the barbecue sauce mixed up and base the model.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
As long as I don't put CA glue in my eyes, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was going to say, do you honey glaze the the latest tank you're doing, and then going out there and spraying up the brisket. You know,
Yeah, the dog would eat it.
The dog will eat it. Yeah. Darman says, I lower my chair at the bench and high it at the booth. So yeah, so another one who thinks of different heights when they're sitting there. I don't need to stand up. I've lost so many parts to the carpet monster that my desk seat is 5 inches higher than it used to be. Yeah. When it's like when the missus comes out with the old Hoover, get out of my office. You're not getting in there and that, you know. I still can't find that bloody nose cone for that Spitfire. It was on the bloody desk, and I can't find it. Whether the cat's knocked it off or something, I don't know. But yeah. But yeah. So other than that, then, folks, we either, if we live in the sun and we live in the warm, we tend to do other things and have a social life, and then in the winter when it's cold and murky, we end up at our benches listening to Airfix and chill on a Monday, building a Spitfire. It sounds like. So yeah, fair enough. Stuart Temple, wife, operate the Hoover. LOL, as if. Somebody's got a Hoover, I guess. But yeah, that was what it was. A conversation that I had, and I thought it'd be interesting who jumps in and who models. Another thing about modeling in the winter, with the nights drawing in and stuff, it's quite a cozy environment to sit there and just get on with it, isn't it? You know, you have something on in the background, and then with that happening, you're just there in the moment building the model. I suppose it's quieter as well, I guess. At night as well, when it, I live on a busy main road, in the evenings. I can tell the difference in the winter. From about 7:30, 8 o'clock, that road goes dead. But when it's summer and when it's quite bright, there were cars coming back from the beach, I suppose, at 9:30. People go and take the dog out and stuff. Go for a little bit more of a journey. Nigel says, I find that my views go up in winter months. Well, that's true for YouTube. I think our biggest on Airfix and Chill was 250 views, and that was, I think that was January time of last year. I think it was. That was I know. I think one of them was we had a lot to talk about the Airfix releases that day or that week, I should say. But we had a really good night, and that was in the winter months. It depends what you want to do, really, isn't it? So. Reusing the barbecue while modelling. Didn't you say that some paints are flammable, Alex? I think I like the vacuum cleaner to a flamethrower.
No, flamethrowers are more fun.
Yeah.
Flamethrowers are good fun.
Yeah. I was searching for the carpet, a piece that had made a bid for freedom. Found a pea pod lost 15 months ago, and I had hoovered twice.
Yeah.
That's good. PE's one of them. It's like they're like you can't get rid of PE from your life. That's the trouble. Yeah, that's interesting. My bench is set to model standing up, but I have a draftsman drawing board chair if I wish to sit at the bench. Also gives more storage under the bench. That's a good shout, isn't it? What have you got under your benches? Beyond that's a good one. What have you got under your benches? I've basically got one of these I got these drawers that are on wheels. I put all the stuff I like me masks and me inserts, a few bits and pieces, screws, stuff that I wouldn't generally use, but I know it's there if I need it. Big clamps, like the big. What they call them again? The squeeze clamps. You squeeze them, trigger clamps. They're in that bottom drawer. And also I've got a few model kits of my compressors underneath my bench. I've got a few models in there. I've got a
probably a canopy and the for the Spitfire.
Yeah. Storage boxes and kits under my workbench. Have you got kits under your workbench, or you keep it clear, Luke?
No, so under mine is my bench is like in an L shape.
Oh, you're one of them, are you?
one of them.
You're one of them. Yeah.
So,
So basically, he's a dressmaker.
yeah. So on this side, so the spray booth is at the far end to my left, where I'm sat now. And then underneath there is the compressor and like thinners and all that, anything for airbrushing basically is that side.
Yeah.
Where I actually sit here and build, there's nothing under the desk at all. And then what I tend to do is, for example, I've got these like plastic storage trays.
Yeah.
So if I'm working on a build, it stays in here and that goes under the bench. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then next to the compressor on the left, IKEA there is essentially they're like shoe racks.
Yeah.
But they're solid shoe racks that you can use as like low level shelving.
Mm.
And that's what all the thinners and tools that I don't use regularly. So that's under this side, but this side's completely clear, other than these like plastic storage boxes for whatever kit I'm working on.
So I bought from IKEA the not the clear ones, but they look like A4 size trays with a lid on, and then you can stack them on top of each other. That's what I had originally, but what I found is that there were very few model kits that could fit in those bloody boxes. I ended up like, well, they all wasted bloody time in the end.
So these ones,
they were not.
These are from, I think they're from B&M, and they're actually designed. What their real purpose is to go inside your fridge.
Yeah.
So you can organize your fridge. That's what they're for.
Ah, fair play. Yeah, B&M is like a posher Home Bargains, isn't it?
Sort of place you can go in with 20 quid and feel like a millionaire.
Yeah, like Poundland was back in the day.
It's great, and they sell everything from like dog treats to silos.
I knew Poundland was on its last legs when you went in there, and they were reselling Music Magpie videos and DVDs. You know what I mean? Things have been cleaned. 99p. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, mate. You know, even Music Magpie can flip them on eBay, and now you're selling them in Poundland for 99p. You know? Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Home Bargain. If you need makeup bits and stuff that obviously. I keep telling when people are starting out, I say, go to somewhere like Home Bargains, get your nail files, your sanding sticks, your cotton buds, even the little dental sticks to clean your airbrush out. Or if you want, those dental sticks are brilliant for chipping. They're a bit harder than you put your spray down and you get your water. But there's more resistance on the bristles, so use them, and I go there for that all the time. I even went in there once to a Home Bargain, and they had Revell kits in there, just on the off chance, just once. It was like a couple of kits. I've never seen them again. Wish I bought them now, but Revell are in there. So, it's there's a handy place to go. What about you, Brett? What have you got under your workbench?
Mine's like a kitchen countertop that's about 7 feet long, and so I've got cabinets all along except where I sit it.
Yeah.
Then my stash is on shelves over there.
Yeah, we tend to do that. The stash goes high, and everything is low, isn't it? Because you need to get to it. One of my favorite artists, Tom Sachs, he always has a thing where everything you need every day is closest to you at hand, and the less you use it, the further away it goes from the workbench. So, like for instance, most of like all the, if you look around here, like me paints, me cements, me fillers, all there in that red box. There's like all the tools that I wouldn't normally use or go in there or I've never used. and then reference books on the top there, and then all the kits. I've got like a shelf that goes all the way around. There's all my I call it my second, the stash that came from the attic that I tend to want to build this year, but never happened. So, up in the attic, there's 600-700 kits up there now, So, but things I want, at least this is in my visual. If I see it, I might build that this week. Is there? But everything else is, like you say, all wrapped around in cupboards, and but I do tend to find that the stuff that I use more of never gets put away, just ends up staying on my desk. Do you find that? You always have yeah.
So directly in front of me.
God, that's fucking hell. There's scale model porn, ladies and gentlemen.
So there's obviously my desktop. And another one of those IKEA shoe rack type things, but that's got all either the paints I'm using currently I put on there next to the spray booth, which is there. And all the stuff I use regularly is either on top of the bench, or obviously all the paints. Well, the majority of the paints are in that rack there. Yeah.
What rack did you buy then for your paints?
I didn't. I had it made.
You had it made, did you? Yeah.
And to be fair, cost-wise, so the ambulance service is a bit like the fire service. Before people join the ambulance service, they've generally had another career. So you've got like electricians, plumbers, cabinet makers. Like you could build a house pretty much from an ambulance station. Everyone's got a trade. So the guy that built my paint rack, his job before he became a paramedic, he was a carpenter. So it cost me, I think it cost me £120, and that was 9 years ago. So actually, if you went down the hobby zone route, or bespoke stuff that's designed, it's much cheaper to find a decent carpenter or cabinet maker or whatever, and they'll bespoke make you one for a lot cheaper in the long run.
I remember watching London's Burning as a kid, and Bayleaf, he was a painter and decorator, wasn't he? But that's what they did. The fire brigade and the ambulance men, they weren't on a lot of money back then, were they? So they used
to were like second jobs.
Because they were shift work as well, because you do 4 days on, 4 days off. So they have 4 days on, and then they have 2 days where they'll go and paint somebody's house and decorate it.
So before paramedic was a thing, because that's fairly new as far as the NHS is concerned. So sort of 35-ish years ago, paramedics didn't exist in the UK. So they were ambulance men or ambulance drivers, because that's basically all they could do. And a lot of them used to, on their days off, they'd be undertakers. They'd work for undertakers, because they're used to dead bodies. It doesn't put them off, so they go and pick up dead bodies and stuff.
Yeah, pick up a dead body. Here's my card, love, if you need
that. Literally. It was the thing.
I should pull through, but if he doesn't, here's my other card.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Do we take it back to our garage, love? We're getting ready for burial.
You could have a two-sided card, couldn't you? Like?
Yeah. It's still the same now in the fire service, Craig Jules is saying. So, I knew a fireman.
The benefit of the fire service, even now, they will get called up, but generally they can sleep at night, which is different to police and ambulance. That doesn't really happen. So if they've not been called out, they're kind of fully rested for the next day, so they'll go and do a bit of plumbing or whatever, and make some extra cash. Fair play to them.
He was a friend. He was married to my wife's best friend, but they're not together anymore. But told me a story that, because they used to sleep at night in the fire service, and when they were even off shift, they would sleep in the fire station as well. And so they had this rule: is if you're on call, you have your underpants on, but if you're off call, your underpants are off. So that's how they would sleep. So they would know that if they hear the bell go, if they had their pants on, they would they're on call, they would then be ready to jump down the old fireman's pole, and off they would go. And one night, the bell went, and he woke up startled by this bell, slid down the pole, realizing he was bollock naked. Like, and they all laughed at him. "You're not on call, mate." "Oh, no. Up the pole he went, back to bed again. Like, bollock naked in front of all your mates. So yeah, that's it, But yeah, I when you're a fireman and all that, yeah, definitely. Just looking through the comments. Under the desk, I've got one of these. I can't see that Alt 92, so you have to explain it what it is. What you've got under your desk. What about you, Sully? What have you got under your desk?
Well, I've kind of got 4 desks.
You're one of them, are you?
Yes. Well, like I said, everything. No, I've got a C shape. Well, sort of a C shape. There's a bit of a gap in it. But my main desk, I'll work front of. I've got a bin and a heater.
Is that it? A bin and a heater?
Pretty much. I have got a couple of overspill kits because I've got another desk to one side of me, which is technically like a bit of like slight overspill, and my photo booth, which is actually, it was some cabinets that were actually installed in the garage. So I took them off, kept them, put a couple of legs on them, so it raised it off the floor a bit. So that's where most of my like main material, big material stuff, again, stuff I don't use very often. Most of the kits, the ones that are under the bench, are just basically too big to fit in the cupboard. And then on the other side, again, it's like them stacker drawers and stuff.
It all depends, doesn't it? I know I'm very fortunate. So, for example, if I'm working on a diorama in here, behind me, that bench there is for diorama, and those shelves are all like works in progress and stuff. But I also have a garage that's got all my diorama stuff in it. So I've got like a 12-foot bench in a garage, that all the diorama stuff, because that can be messy. So I'm very lucky. But if with a little bit of thought, you can turn a very small space into a very effective workshop. You really can. I've not always had this. Do you know what I mean? It's not always been this big and blessed with this much space. But with a little bit of thought and planning, you can turn a very small space into a really effective workshop.
I was the same, because when we were buying this house, I was like, I need a space. Unfortunately, he had a garage, so I converted to the garage. I am pretty much basically cramped at one end.
but you can make it work, can't you? You can be really efficient.
Yeah. The one thing that cracked me up, because like at my old house, like the same as you, look, I had all my paints in front of me. Now I've got like paint brushes and all bits and bobs in front of my computer in front of me.
Yeah.
And normally my paint used to be in front. But then I was like, I'd got everything all worked out. Everything was taught to hand. The last thing I thought about, shit, where the fuck am I putting my paint?
Yeah.
So I've done the same. Yeah, I've done sort of the same thing. I've got. I've made a shelf up on the back there.
Yeah.
For all my paints to go up on.
Yeah.
And
so,
like we've got some members that they've got young families or whatever. They don't have the space to do what I do, because basically I'm forever the bachelor. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter.
You decided that now, have you? You're forever the bachelor. That's
absolutely, mate, absolutely.
Yeah. We used to call them Spencers, years ago.
Some of our members are literally modelling on like a dinner tray.
Yeah.
In front of TV and producing some phenomenal work. Because it's the old adage, even with all this space that I've got, when I'm actually building, I probably build in a space that's no more than an A3 cutting mat.
Yeah.
So actually, this is a nice to have. It's not a need to have. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy I follow on Instagram, War Tour Models. He models underneath the stairs.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little space, but the stuff he produces is fantastic. But it's just like, fucking, and he sprays and paints everything under there. I'm thinking,
sounds like he's Harry Potter.
He's a wizard.
Yeah.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, Dominique's in the chat. So if you ever see Dominique in a hangout or whatever, he has turned his entire living room into his workshop. The point where I think it was earlier this year. I think it was his girlfriend's like birthday or something. They were having a party, so he had to like empty his living room of all this modelling stuff and then get sofas and stuff because his whole living room is just his man cave with all his stash and everything around. It's funny, really funny.
But this is true, right? In Japan, and I've got a friend who's Japanese, and he said to me that they don't have a kitchen in their houses anymore because everything's all done communally. So if you have you basically you'll go out to eat every night. If you go to Wagamama, he said to me, if you go to Wagamama's, that's what it's like in Japan. Benches and everything, and you sit down. It's not about I've taken this table for me. No, you sit with everybody else communally. So you don't have dining rooms and kitchens. Yeah. But he's got one of the most fabulous model rooms because they don't have a dining room. You know, they've converted the dining room into it, and the kitchen is basically where their laundry is now because they don't eat in the house. They don't have a cooker. They just every night they go out, and because it's all communal like that, food is so cheap because it is cooked that way, and that's what I'd love it to be like that here because nobody wants to cook. And it doesn't eat shit either. It eats really good food, like, you know, not fatty food. And, you know, for us to go out, it's all like takeaways, bring it home if you don't want to cook. You know what I mean? But for them, they'll go out and have sushi and all this, and it's all wholesome noodles and rice. You know, it's I'd love to, if I could live in Japan, I would, just for the food.
They're building in Birmingham city centre because obviously any large city centre living is very expensive because space is at such a premium. So they're building an apartment block currently, and none of the apartments have kitchens or dining rooms or any of that. But then on the top floor of the apartment block they're building is like a communal kitchen, dining area for all the residents. Like it's this new concept, but probably inspired by what happens in places like Japan and stuff. I mean they're still not cheap, those apartments, but
you look at a rich American, just saying a rich American. I remember food in America is quite cheap, isn't it? You know, but is it right? Is it quite cheap or not?
No,
it's not.
Not at the moment.
In comparison to the UK.
I was under the impression that if you live rich over in America, you would just eat, you know, you go out for pho for lunch, and then you'll grab a sandwich on the way home, sort of thing. That's what I would.
You're rich.
If you're rich, you would do that, would you?
Yeah. So what we call 1%ers.
The 1%ers. Well, it's 0.5% in this country. You know? Well, the thing is, though, you could be rich in this country and still can't afford to go out to fucking eat. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem in this country.
Everything is just as expensive here.
Yeah, all right. I thought fast food in America was cheaper
especially
than
eating out. Yeah.
Okay. Because I still remember when Big Macs for $2.99 for a meal, wasn't it? $2.99 meal or something. Now it's like £7. In Kentucky Fried Chicken, fucking hell, 20 quid a bucket. That really surprised me. You used to get a 14-piece, 7 fries, and a bottle of Coke for under 15 quid. Now it's like 25 quid. And you don't even get your fucking Vienna with that anymore.
You can't get full fat Coke anymore.
They tax you more than full fat Coke.
Yeah, it's all diet rubbish in KFC, isn't it? They don't sell any full fat carbonated drink. So the last time I won't go in there on principle because I don't drink diet drinks. I don't see the point. But last time I went in there, I said, "I can have a full fat Pepsi." Well, oh no, we don't do that. You'll have to have Pepsi Max. I said, "Well, that's ridiculous. I'll have a cup of coffee and 15 sugars then." It's I can have that, but I can't have a full fat Pepsi.
Exactly. You know, it's ridiculous. But no, I was just saying, you know, that's. But they, you know, there are now rooms where they used to have the kitchen in the dining room, and they would build. Yeah. But I think if you speak to a modeler now, and they're in their 50s. They haven't moved house and downsized. They've used where the kids have got married and buggered off. They've now made that into their model room,
Yeah.
And then, and they can do what they like then. So, which I think is a nice idea. See, I haven't got children, but we've got, basically a 4-bedroom house. And I made this room into a model room, and it's still not big enough because the attic's
it doesn't matter how much space you have.
Yeah.
It will never be big enough.
No.
Because it's the old adage, people live to their means, but it's the same with space. If you've got space, you'll fill it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think necessarily about being particularly efficient in the way you build or whatever. So you soon fill it, and then you're like, oh, I could do with more space. You just fill that space with shite you never use. Just how it happens.
Well, the problem is what do you do with the ones where you finish? That's the issue, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because your stuff generally is probably about the same level amount of shit that you normally have. It's just the ones that you finish that you got to find somewhere to go.
Absolutely.
I mean, some of them might have ended up in the loft.
Yeah, a lot are in the loft, a lot are in the garage. I don't display finished builds really, because once I finished a build, I've lost interest in it.
Oh no, I've got a small section of cases, but I've got a fridge I need to get out because we need to have the kitchen redone. I need to get this fridge out. It's a double-breasted fridge. But once that's done, I've got more space for display cases.
Yeah, I will say that I've given quite a few kits away over the years that I've built. Some in the library up the road. I've got some, the lifeboat station next to it. There's a kit there. I think my brother's got a couple of kits and stuff, and and when people say I've got an interest in, so I give them the kit. But up in the attic, unfortunately, I've also, because I've never built really dioramas. So when the model's built, it gets wrapped in cotton wool and then put in a big thing, which unfortunately over the years of moving house and that box has been moved around and everything, a lot of them's damaged in them anyway. But I keep 10 or 12 in a box that I take to model shows with, but that's it. Once they're built, you have no interest for them, and what you can't really sell them. I've seen people try to sell them on eBay and they go for bugger all. But then again, if you make something and you've had all that pleasure out of it, and if you're not greedy and you say, look, I've got a built Spitfire here, I want 30 quid for it, and it sells, that's another 2 Spitfires you could buy.
Yeah, one of our admins does that. So he sells his complete builds on eBay, but he doesn't really put a reserve on them or whatever. So even if it's cost him like 200 quid in aftermarket and whatever, if it goes for 40 quid, he'll just sell it because he then buys other stuff with because all it's going to do is sit on a shelf and gather dust. That's all it's going to do. Really.
Well, I'm not allowed to put it on display. I'm not allowed to put it on display.
Can I just mention something, Ross, on that, the cost of kits and all that stuff? So I was contacted last week by someone who wanted a commission build. I won't say who it was or what they wanted because it would give it away, but they wanted me to build something for them. So I don't do commissions as a rule.
You don't? Okay.
Unless it's like, like friends or family, or then maybe I'll do something for them. But in general, I don't do them. But because this person had a link to the subject matter, I said, well, I will do it, but I think you're going to be surprised at how much it's going to cost. So what people need to realize is the time and effort that people put into builds. And even if you were doing that for minimum wage, so in the UK, minimum wage for someone over 21 is just over £10 an hour. Well, if that's going to take you 50 hours just in labour alone, and bearing in mind what we do is not minimum wage work, it's skilled work. Using an airbrush is a skill, building is a skill. So people expect commission builders to basically the price of the kit plus 50 quid. Well, no, it's not like that. Time is valuable. Time is very valuable. And if you're committing your time, 50 hours of your time to produce something, then it's going to cost money,
I actually worked one out.
There's no point getting offended when you get given a price and say, well, that's ridiculous. It's expensive. Well, it is expensive. because it's my time, and my time is expensive.
I worked one out the once I'd done. It was a 70-second scale spit, Ed Hard, Profi pack. It was a family friend, so it was a birthday present, so I obviously wasn't charging for it. And I think I worked it out on minimum wage, how long it took, and I think it fell, and it's a 70-second kit as well, with no real extras or anything, just under $1,000.
Yeah, which is reasonable because of.
If you were charging £200 an hour, Sully, then
no, generally that was at minimum. Honestly, that was at minimum wage at a small scale. Because normally when I have them in the past, so like on average, because I won't do a 70-second scale normally unless it's like a bomber or something. Excuse me, but normally a 48 scale kit, depending on what it is, but on average about 150 quid, and that's really selling myself proper short on it.
Really
do you know what I mean? I know it's really short, but you know it's. But then, even then, like he says, I've had people going, "Well, that's a bit much." And well, what do you expect? Like he says, I've got to paint it. I've got to use my time that I could be making my models to go on YouTube to make money. I'm doing your shit instead.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Can I just say, right? This I've just putting it out there. Surely the pleasure's in the journey, because I don't build models. When I build myself a model, I don't bill myself £15 an hour for doing it.
No, but you're building what you want to build the way you want to build it.
Yeah, I get that.
And when you're doing a commission, you're building something that maybe you don't want to build in particular. You're not interested, and you're building it to a specification by the person you're building it for. So you're building it to their specification. So you're not doing it for pleasure. Because you're not doing it potentially the way you would do it, or a subject that you would choose to build. That's like me turning around to you, Mars, and saying, "Can you build me a Warhammer kit?" Well, you've probably got no interest in that subject matter. So therefore, you're then
but I would still enjoy the journey of building it, and that's the pleasure I get from scale modeling.
Yeah,
well, you saying that the last one I did, right, and I only finished it a few months back. I mean, admittedly, there was a lot of things going on. I moved out. Nearly took me 2 years to finish, and I fucking hated every single minute of it.
That's fine, but I was just saying, like, I did that one. Say, for instance, the one that I did for the lifeboat station, right? For me, you know, I would never have sold. You know, they give me money, I would never have taken it. If you're going to give me money for it, put it back into the fund, sort of thing.
Absolutely, but you'd have built that lifeboat anyway.
Pardon?
You'd have built that lifeboat anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it gave me even more credence the fact that they would like it on display.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, kick me up the ass a bit quicker, to be honest.
If I built something or I am building something, and someone such as an organization, a museum, or whatever said, "Oh, we would like that," they can have it, because all it's going to do is go in the garage, you know. But when someone wants you to build a specific subject where you're going to have to commit 50 hours to build it to the way they want it built, well, I could go and do 2 overtime shifts at work, which is half the hours of that, earn more money, and then I can spend the other 30 hours building what I want to do for my hobby and my pleasure. You know, so that's where the difference lies.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people do not understand how long it takes to build a model.
No clue. No clue.
And it's not just, and then also you've got to be, if you're saying you're doing it per hour, you've got to then look at that and think, because how many times you go back to a model kit, spend 10 minutes doing this or doing that, those 10 minutes add up, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, I said, I've done commissions, and I've said, I'll do it for a couple of £100. And they go, yeah, that's really good. Yeah. But for me, it was the journey of doing it, because it gave me a reason to do it, because I would never have built it anyway if it wasn't for somebody who wanted that particular model. And I got enjoyment out of it, knowing that they were going to have that in their front room, or one of them was made into a trophy, I believe. I think it was a lorry, and it was made into a trophy for somebody, you know, like a retirement thing, you know.
Was that for 10th place?
But yeah, it was for me. Long as they covered my paints and that, you know, in a little bit of time, But don't get me wrong, because it was a commission build, it kicked my ass to get it done as quickly as possible.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So for me, because this isn't my job,
Yeah.
I do this to relax away from my job. Well, as soon as you're doing a commission build, and I have done them, and I didn't enjoy it one little bit, because then you're potentially under a time frame pressure. You're under, they want it done in a way that you wouldn't do it. For example, I did a Challenger 2 for someone who didn't want it weathered.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. He gave me the ick.
How are you gonna hide all those mistakes? Now?
but it's just not how I would have done it. But the person wanted it that way because it was actually a gift for someone who used to drive Challenger 2 tanks.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have done it that way. And when I handed it over, although it was a good finish and everything else, I just wasn't.
It wasn't finished, was it? It wasn't finished.
It wasn't finished because I wouldn't have done it that way. So
I've had to do a couple like that.
I steer away from them really because it takes the enjoyment away. It takes the relaxation away. You know?
My first commission, I actually managed to, because they wanted a clean model. It only took about 10 minutes to convince them otherwise. I was quite chuffed with that one. But yeah, it's for me, because the way I model, if it's not weathered, it's not finished.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just going down through, somebody said that they do. Oh, you go, Stuart Templeton. I build 20 plus models a year and still generally use my humble workstation. I retired mine when I got this bench here, but I used to have the humble workstation on the bench.
And what's that? That's A4, isn't it? Is it an A4 size?
It's A4, is it? Yeah, A3, and I think it's A4 the map, but it's actually like A3 is the size of it.
Yeah.
But they sell really well. There's a Revell version, which I found really hard to use. That's why I went to the humble one, because instead of round pots to put stuff in, because they all fit the humble pots, but you can fit the Vallejo paints in them as well, if you know what I mean. But it was all square, like, because the aqua colors were all square pots, weren't they, and stuff. But you realise that with that, with the way that plastic they use for those humble trays, you can use the sides. There's like a little bevel on the side, an indentation, where you can mix paints and all sorts, and it won't burn. You can put Tamiya extra thin or poly cement on that plastic, and it won't burn through. It's really hard plastic. It's an ABS plastic, I think. Yeah. So you could do all sorts with it. I had mine for ages. The only con I found was that if you bought the workstation, you had to buy the mat separate. But be fair with them, any mat that A4 size would fit it. So you could buy that humble workstation for, I think it's about 19 quid, and then go to your local Hobbycraft and buy one of those A4 cutters for about, or Amazon for 2 or 3 quid, and it would fit in that gap. So fair play on that. So yeah, but as I said, I had one for ages, and they are very useful. When in the days of using, when I was hand brushing, you could sit in front of the telly and model with one of those workbench things on you. But nowadays, I've gone past start sets again and whatnot. It's
back to what I was saying earlier. Even with all this space, you generally end up in a fairly small area on your bench. That's where you're actually doing the majority of the work.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense.
Dominic said, yes, I know a few commission builders and painters in the Warhammer world. If you do it right, you can make a pretty good living out of it. Yeah, before Warhammer, you had military figures, the Britain, the lead ones. I know people who do paint them up with enamel paints now, and they will charge £25 to £30 a figure. But the beauty with them is you're doing armies, you'll be there all night, and you'll do the black boots. Then you do the red tops, and you do them one at a time, 1, 2, I know people who do that all the time, and they've made, they do like sets of armies. Whereas Warhammer, I think every single one's individual, isn't it? You end up painting them.
It's the same thing. So
is it?
if you're doing, say, a squad of 10
Mm.
figures, it's almost a bit like a production line. That's how you
Yeah.
would do it. So you would do the weapons, then you do the armor, then you do.
Mm.
So it's the same sort of process. The difference with Warhammer, I guess, most people that would commission someone to paint a figure or whatever will be a particular character within an army. So you
Yeah.
want it to be a bit more special, etc., because of what it is, and then they sometimes will go to commission painters. But some top commission painters in that world, they charge by the millimeter.
The millimeter.
Yeah.
Crumbs.
Yeah, and they have like a standard of, do you want it weathered, do you want it shaded, do you want base colors, what do you want, and then how tall's your figure? Is it 28 mil, is it 32 mil, is it 54 mil, and we're going to charge you a rate per millimeter.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that.
A lot of money.
Yeah,
But
like yeah. You know, you go through eBay, you can see like you've got 89 Metal Pro painted War of the Roses figurines, so lead based figures painted, 89 of them, 230 quid. And if you look at them, it's bog standard black boots, you know, white trousers, red tunics, and a bearskin top, like, you know, and it's very easy money if you can get people to pay you for doing it. Well, that's like everything, you know. With my discos, I'm not being big-headed here, fucking not a chance, but people respect what I do and I can command a certain rate. I'm not big style when, you know, people charge 800-900 quid for a 4-hour gig. I don't charge, but I think that's taking the piss. You know, all you do is pressing the button and trying to interlink mix tracks. You know, there's an art to it, but it's like
any profession, doesn't really matter what it is. So I don't do it now, but I used to work privately. So I'm not going to say what it was, but if I told people my hourly rate when I used to work privately, they'd be like, how much?
Yeah.
But if anyone could do it, it'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
The same as if Alex is doing, hey? No, I'm not telling you. But if Alex could do consultancy work, for example, he's not going to do that for minimum wage.
Yeah.
No.
Because his professional knowledge and skill set commands a price. It's just a welder's not going to work for minimum wage.
I can tell you the last commission quotation I gave for consultancy was I can't remember what it was. I think it was a 4-week thing, and it was £16,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not cheap.
No.
But if
you wouldn't charge that for modelling.
Yeah. If anyone could do it,
exactly,
it wouldn't command that price, would it? It's just
no, because you're charging for. It's like the old story of the guy, you know, who fixed a diesel engine by going up and hitting it with a hammer. You know, charge 10 grand, and it's just like price for hammer $10, knowing where to hit 9,990.
Absolutely,
you know, you're paying for the 28 years of commercial experience, not for, you know, a written report, you know, written on 5 quid's worth of paper.
I was just going to say, I think that's it in every trade. You know, I'm not trying to get scam on it, but for instance, it's also your experience counts, like, and your equipment. Like for me, I quote for this wedding, and I said they wanted me there from 3 o'clock in the afternoon with my equipment to do speeches, the cut of the cake, first dance, all the way up to midnight. And so I said 650. Okay, going rate for a DJ for that sort of time for a wedding with all the equipment and everything. And I didn't hear nothing back. And then about 2 weeks before the wedding, they contacted me saying, "Are you still available for this wedding?" And I said, "Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm already booked up for another wedding." And they went, "Oh, right, because the guy we booked, he can't do it because there's no Wi-Fi." And so my ears pricked up then, and I said, "Oh, right, okay." And I just said, "How much was he charging you?" He said 250. And it turns out it was a lad who based himself on Spotify for his music. And he didn't realise.
A pair of speakers.
And the wedding venue in Taunton is in a barn, nowhere for anywhere. you know, when I've got 260,000 music tracks on one hard drive, I've got every bit of music going all the way back from, you know, Cotton Spit all the way up to the latest trance. And every month I pay £40 and I get the latest downloads of all the latest releases, even if they don't even chart. It's like the TikTok versions and all that. I get all that onto my hard drive, but I pay up for it. And that's why I think I'm value, because I'm not reliant on a Wi-Fi system. You know,
well, that's it. You're paying for your equipment, your experience, the ability at 11:30 on, you know, the Sunday night for somebody to come up and say, "Oh, could you play whatever?"
Yeah,
and you can be like, "Yeah."
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
And it's like, that's it. It's just like, rather than like, "Can you play this? No. Can you play this? No. Can you play this?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that was shit, wasn't it?
The only times I've ever said no, for a track is Gary Glitter and R. Kelly, because I haven't got them anymore. You think I'm going to play Ignition anymore? We're all shitting ourselves, but with this, you know, all the other stuff that's going on with P. Diddy. How many times have I had as the first dance? I've been missing you by P. Diddy, you know. Every time around, we've gone around. Never, you know. And, you know, I'm worried about losing Justin Bieber. You know, like I said, you know, like I said, you know, we shouldn't laugh about it really because they're heinous crimes. But I tell you what, we were all shitting ourselves with Michael Jackson because how many good tracks he's got. Imagine it, you know, we won't be able to play him again, would we? So yeah, but everything else I've got, by the way, in my repertoire, but things like that, R. Kelly and Gary Glitter, Ron Harris, and things like that.
That's why you need to just listen to metal.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know, you can't play it because
we don't have those photos.
You know. I mean, oh God, dear! I remember years ago when Gary Glitter first got done.
Gary Glitter. He locked up in like Thailand or Vietnam or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, Gary Glitter wrote one of the best Christmas songs in the world, "Rock and Roll Christmas." Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. And one day I was scrolling through, and they wanted a Christmas mix, so I put this Christmas mix on. Halfway through this mix, Gary Glitter popped up. Him over. Rock and Roll Christmas, and I said, it's all right, it's not Gary Glitter singing it. I said it's a cover, but still people got offended by it. It wasn't a cover, it was Gary Glitter's voice. But I just said, oh, it's a cover. You remember the Glitter band still exists outside of Gary Glitter, you know, but you know they wouldn't have it. I mean, but that's the only time I ballsed up. But still, people, you know, people do ask for Ignition still from R. Kelly, and you say, well, you can't really, you know. You may joke about these things, but yeah, it's you've got to set the level, haven't you? You know, and remember when you.
What about P. Diddy, Moz?
We've already gone through P. Diddy, mate.
Yeah,
I've been watching you. I've been missing you. That's been a massive track for First Dances for ages. Lost Prophets is another one you can't play. Yeah. You know, you go through the years. It's sad, but and they're heinous crimes. But the only thing I will say is that we can still play Elvis Presley, but he's dead, so it's all right. You know? Just saying. Anyway, back to modelling. Hi, I thought I'd chime in and agree with what Luke was saying. It's not a subject I enjoy. Then to me, it's more like working, and for that, I'd want to charge more than people are willing to pay. But then, will you price yourself out of the market of building a commission build? But if you don't really care, then it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I've had a commission where, or like people have come with commissions. You know, could you build this for me? And I'm like, no interest in it. I know it will be a dog, and it's just like, yeah, it'll be 500 quid. And they're just like, well, I'm not paying that. And it's like, okay, if they paid £500, I would do it because it would be worth it. But I don't really want to. So you know.
But that's like any trade, isn't it? So if you've got, I don't know, a job to do in your garden that gardener really doesn't want to do, they'll just price themselves out of the job.
Yeah.
That'll happen. If you've got a gig that you really don't want to do, then you will just say, yeah, that'll be 1,500 quid. Well, they're not going to pay that, so therefore you don't have to do it, do you?
Yeah, and if somebody is going to pay 1,500 quid, you're just like, well, I don't want to do it, but it's 1,500 quid, so I'll knuckle down. Yeah.
Just quickly, somebody did say Stuart Templeton said somewhere, absolutely, you're not paying for the service, you're paying for the knowledge, and I think that's a really good.
That's
a
very
really
true.
good
I mean,
way to do it.
take my job for example. I earn very good money. Do I actually use my skill set very often? No. However, if that call comes in where that skill set's needed, that's what we're paid for. We're like an insurance policy.
Yeah, you don't want to be able to use,
pay car
use
insurance,
it, but
house insurance, and all that. We never claim on it, but the day we need to claim on it, it's there, isn't it? It's the same principle.
One question is from Nick Micklethwaite. Question. What was the cost of the Lotus, Alex, if you can say?
what was the cost of the Lotus?
Yeah, was that for you, Alex?
Oh, the commission. Yeah, it was expensive.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think that.
But he was very happy with it, and actually I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a ball ache because it was an old kit. You know, it wasn't Tamiya kit, but it was a 70s Tamiya kit. It had issues. But I mean, I did stuff on that because it's also the client, right?
Yeah.
I know the guy. He comes into the shop. He's a regular customer. He's a really nice guy. So it's like I will do stuff for him that I might not do for other people.
Yeah.
Which, as Luke said, it's exactly the same as other trades, right? You know, my dad used to do plumbing jobs for his friends and stuff that he wouldn't do for like general people.
Yeah.
You know.
Interesting question here from Mike Orton. I'm surprised to hear that some or all of you don't keep or display your finished works of art. Do any of the panel tonight keep and display their own work? Right. Let me let you into a little secret. I'm married. If I put anything out, it will get moved or put back where it should belong. Okay. Secondly, if it like for me, if I want it on display, I've got to fucking dust it. Okay. That's one of the rules. Okay. That's why I end up with pictures around the house, not works of art. And thirdly, I do keep some for display in a box that I take to scale model shows, but ultimately, no one really comes round to my house. The only people who will see that model is me or a tut from the wife when she of the fucking kid. You know what I mean? You know, and also I don't know whether it's just me. The way we got our front room and our dining room, it would look out of place there.
Yeah.
I know I'm not being horrible, but I'm just being from an aesthetic point of view. Our front room is a place where we sit down in comfort, you know, and sit and watch telly, eat, and the idea of having a tornado and that it doesn't go with the aesthetic of the front or the room. But that doesn't mean that I've had my pleasure in building it and learning technique and fucking it up and getting it right. That's for me scale model building. To have it there, and also the greatest gift is somebody would want that kit, you know, free of charge sometimes, and they want to have it for themselves. That's the ultimate glorious crown because it means they appreciate your work as well. But for me, have stuff. I've got little bits around that I've got, but ultimately, no, I don't have it generally on display because my house isn't a museum. And nobody really, you know, people, family do come round, and I have friends come round. You know, if we have a poker night or something, you know, they come round. But I don't. They're not out because at the end of the day, they're just what they are. So yeah, no, that's me. That's me out on that one. So yeah, I don't know how you guys see it. What's your thought?
I'm very similar to that. The only ones I keep, so there are builds that are in the garage in storage boxes that I take to shows, and because obviously you need to put something on the table. But generally, I don't keep in the house any finished build. I think there's 5 on display at various in the spare room and blah blah blah. But they're ones. Don't want to sound like a twat, but 2 of those won gold at Telford, 1 won a silver. 1 is a vehicle I used to work on. So there's a significance to them, if that makes sense. but they're the only ones. They're the only ones. What I generally do is my modelling year runs Telford to Telford, so sort of November to November.
Like Spencer Pollard's the same, isn't he? He's Telford.
When I come back from Telford this year, a lot of the builds that I've done this year, stand by for the chat to go nuts. A lot of the builds I've done this year, I just put in the bin and bin them. And then I've made space for the coming year because I've photographed them. They're either on the YouTube channel or they're photographed and on a hard drive. So the pleasure is in the build, not in looking at them 2 years down.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky, I guess, in that it's a good reason to have a model shop. Is to display stuff because it does two things, right? It shows what you are as a shop, and catches attention, and it's also you're preaching to an audience that would appreciate it. It's like going to a museum. It's a self-selecting audience.
Yeah.
So the people that come to the shop look at the models and they appreciate them because they're modelers or have an interest in that, which is nice. For me personally, it's nice when somebody comes up and says, "Oh, did you do those, in the window?" And it's like, I really like X, whatever it is, the Sea King. The Sea King gets a lot of attention because I'm near Yeovilton. So there's a lot of people that used to work on Sea Kings, either fly or maintain them and stuff. And that's really nice.
Or got rescued by a Sea King.
Or got rescued by a Sea King. Yeah. But I mean, in the house, again, much like you, Moss, there's the dual thing about it doesn't really go with the aesthetic. I'm not really the sort of person that would want to have, like say, a tornado and stuff to look at. It's like that doesn't. It's not kind of me. My dad would have done and did when he was alive, but that's not kind of what I'd want. And Maria would be like, yeah, she's just like, why are you putting your shit there? Would be
yeah.
But I do have display cases in the wall-mounted display cases for some of my old 72nd scale stuff in my man cave, which are not all of the ones. Unlike Luke, they're not significant in terms of winning contests or anything. So some of them are a bit crap. But they represent. I mean, they're still significant in the way that Luke said. They mark certain points in my modeling journey.
Yeah.
I can look back and think, actually, I was a lot better than I thought I was back then, or how much I have come on from this model, and the mistakes I made on it. So I like to have them because, and they've all been photographed and stuff. Some of them were that long ago. They were actually taken, and I have physical photos of because that was the only way to do it. But it's still quite nice to actually see them. There's something about a physical representation of something which is quite nice. But yeah, I mean, most people I imagine don't have the space, and I mean they're all in display cases because dusting. I mean, good God, who wants to dust?
Right.
And dust gets everywhere, even in the inside of canopies that are sealed with Tammy Reaction and Vallejo putty, and dusting, but also I was just saying, I have got a lot of friends, but once they've been to my house one or two times, they don't even look at the models that were there, and
They're not coming to your house to look at models, are they?
No, they come to chat, watch telly, or win money off me, basically. The fuckers, you know what I mean? But it's that's poker for you, isn't it? But there's some nights I take money off them. But it's that's the way it works. But yeah, sometimes, mind you, to be fair, when I had that what's it called? That hocker kit, the Lamborghini on the dining room table, because of the sheer size of it, that did get attention. But I can assure you, it was only on the table until I finished building it, because she would not want that in the middle of our going a road bike. You know what I mean? And there's this ugly yellow car there just looking at us, half built. Even in the display case, it's all right. It's in the loft now. Do you know what I mean? It's it's that's one that I probably will sell. I'll probably whack it on eBay but collection only. You know, if somebody wants to give me 200 quid for it, they can. But you know, it's there now. As I say, I've got 8 or 9 bits to do on it, and it'll be completely finished, and that's it. But at the moment, it's up in the attic. So, yeah, it's one of them. But for the time, you know. But that's the funniest thing, you know. Sometimes half-built kits give you more attention than a kit that's fully built. You know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, I'm running out of space. I'm getting rid of the wife, divorcing. I mean, oh right, okay. either your Tamia Churchill or your wife. You're going to stick with the Tamia Churchill. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Simon Richards. I'm shocked how many people bin them. Good job I live in my dad's back bedroom. I just buy more shells. He taught me how to make them and loves it. Fair enough, mate. Yeah, it's fair enough.
I mean, it depends. It depends on your. Everyone enjoys the hobby in a different way, don't they? Everyone enjoys the hobby in their own way and has their own motivation. And for me, the enjoyment is the build and the painting, the finish. Once it's finished, I've lost all love for the subject, really. So there would be no point me keeping them because it's just clutter. And like yourself and Alex have said, it doesn't match the aesthetic of my house. So it would just look out of place. So unless there's some personal significance to it, and that doesn't mean necessarily that it's won a gold or it's just a significant part of your journey, then yeah, I'll keep those. But the rest, they just go in the bin because I've had my enjoyment out of it. I do see them as disposable items.
Yeah, absolutely. What's that? As a beginner, I like to keep some stuff around for confidence and stuff. Every build you build, mate, you get better. It is. And when people say, you know, oh, it's not as good as my last build, it's bollocks. You know, you've got to the end of the journey, and that model has probably tested you in it's probably what was it they say when you build muscle? You know, some muscles hurt a bit more because they're not being used as much. The same with modeling. There's certain techniques that you develop more, and it becomes a little more painful in it because of what you know doing differently and learning how to use a certain product or get to a certain standard. But I've always said that every model you build is better than the last one. So you know,
is that why all of my muscles hurt, Moss? Because I don't use them.
Yeah. Say that. Well, look at that. Yeah. World of Plastic Modeling, Tony Robinson in 22,300. Oh, hi, look here, a 1/72 Spitfire. Pop this onto the British Museum. You do wonder what, you know, how people look at us in 100 years' time. Well, not even that now. It would be 50 years' time, 60 years' time, like, going that 20 years towards the turn of the next century. How they would look at us for building scale models, like, you know.
Don't be silly, Moss. There'll be nobody alive in 60 years. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Our new cockroach overlords.
Hey. Let's not go down that political road. By saying that, I had a bloke today, because, you know, as you know, we've got the Scale Model Club Facebook group, and we have a rule on there. We don't have swastikas on the models. You have to cover them over with either or edit them out in your photos of your completed builds. And it's not us at all. Sully can back me up on this because we've had the warnings. Facebook do not like the swastika on any group. You put a picture up, you know, you only get so many chances before they take they close the group. They warn you. We've had one warning already, and I don't want a second one just in case. So we make a rule that you don't. Then people don't read the rules. Obviously, they put a picture up of their latest build with swastika on the back, and then we have the argument, don't we, Sally? Oh, you're trying to change history. No, we're not. we're trying not to get our ass chewed by Facebook and remove a group that's got a really good presence online. So yeah. I keep my builds, if not in a display, then in storage. I've never understood making something then throwing it away. Whilst I love the building, I would lose interest if I had nothing to show for it. But just think, right? What I know you keep them as a keepsake. What intrinsic value is it keeping it?
I don't think it is an I completely get where Stuart's coming from. It's kind of I think it's the emotional connection with it, and the kind of the reminder of the experience. I think if you've got a physical thing, and again, like Luke said, he's absolutely right. We all experience it in different ways, and there's no right way. And I think it is hard for people who throw stuff away to understand why people would want to clutter their houses with it, and vice versa, because that's just different types of people. But both are absolutely valid. So.
Yeah. I mean, the way I don't know, immortalize a build, if you like, rather than keep the actual physical model.
Yeah.
Once I've finished every build, it's photographed, it's put on certain social media platforms, it's then put on a hard drive. Those pictures are stored on a hard drive that I have forever. I can go right back to the first model I ever built. It's on that hard drive. That's how I keep them, if you like, because like I'm quite prolific. I build a lot of models. It wouldn't, if I'd have kept every build over the last 11 years, there would not, even though I live in quite a big house, there wouldn't be a lot of space, because, and generally I'll build models on a base or a vignette or a diorama where they take up more space. So all of a sudden you kind of end up in a position. So if you look at our stand this year at Telford, that will look very, very different to it did last year. And in 2025, it'll look different to it looks this year, because generally it's all stuff that we've built in the previous 12 months. There's the odd sort of staple that will be there, that's there every show. But in general, we try and refresh that display every 12 months. Yeah. Because we're all quite prolific and we throw stuff away at the end of the year.
I think for club as well, that's quite important because unfortunately, I intended to go to Yeovil Model Show yesterday, and I ended up not being able to go. Wow. But one of the things that you do see sometimes with regular shows, and Yeovil's quite a good one because it's twice a year, is you'll see the same clubs with the same stuff.
Same stuff, yeah.
And it's just like, well, that's fine for the odd modeler going there. But if you're doing the rounds all the time, you live in the area and you're seeing the same stuff, that could actually be a barrier for you then going to the show in future. If it's like, oh, well, it'll just be the same old stuff. So keeping it fresh, I think, for a club is really important. So, 100% agree with that.
No, I did, just out of that, because I went yesterday, I filmed it. I would say 60% of it was the same. There was a lot of newer stuff. Like, for instance, there's one lad there, and I pulled up to Yeovil, and he's done this amazing helicopter. It's on one of the, if you go back to one of my old Yeovil videos, he's done this helicopter with, like, I think it's like the Predator down the side, or was it a Panther or something down the side? I'm trying to think in my mind now. And it's all painted by hand. This, like, you think it's a decal, but it's not. It's all painted by hand.
Oh, and I went past.
Pardon?
Is it a hind?
Yeah, the hind.
Yeah.
It's like,
I remember that
Predator. Yeah,
it is Predator, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all painted by hand. And the first year I saw it there, or the first time I saw it there, I was overjoyed and thought, well, that's some decal. I saw hand painted with a hairy stick. I'm like, really? Wow. And then he said, yeah, but don't notice the rotaries aren't there, like the rotors aren't there. So I forgot to bring them. Then the following show, he brought them with the rotors on. Anyway, I saw him there yesterday, and I said, where's the helicopter? I was going to film it. And he goes, didn't bring it. it's time to change it, mix it up a bit. So that's one club that mixes it up a bit, if you know what I mean.
It's important.
You are right. But the trouble is that we seem to be stuck in this area here that we like, and I'm the same. I've got 12 models there that I take to every single show for this year. So by the time you've done Yeovil, Thornbury, Plymouth, you've done the rounds down here, Nailsea, for instance, it's all the same clubs, same models. But when I went to Gloucester scale model show, I must have saw 80% more because there were different clubs that I wouldn't have seen down in the southwest.
Yeah.
So it's more enlightening. But I can assure you, if I go to Telford in 2 weeks and these clubs that are down here are going to show up there, it'll be the same models that I've seen. That's not a criticism. God forbid you think that's a criticism. I'm just saying that when I've gone to shows and you do see the same old, it does get quite repetitive. But I will say that I think, when I was going around, there was a good 40-45% of stuff I've never seen before. But I think that's what happens. We set in our minds that this year, we're going to take these models this year, and then we'll probably mix it up next year for something different. And that's the way, that's how we do it. So, but yeah, but you are right though, Alex. You go to see, you can see in the same, but I think you get it in any area. If you're in Birmingham and you go to all the model shows around, it's all the same models. But we don't go to model shows just to see other modelers. We go to talk about other modelers, talk to other modelers and to come back with more fucking shaders and more Tamiya extra thin. That's why we go to these model shows and to go hunting for Humbro. Go around and go looking for Humbro, because I didn't find any Humbro when I was there yesterday either. So again, Humbro has another tick on the box for Humbro on that one. So yeah. Anyone else want to add to that about scale models and showing off our models?
I just want to ask, what is Sully making there?
Oh, don't you know?
What? Hey?
It's Warhammer.
Oh.
Is that some sort of Tyranid, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like a Turvagon or something?
My brother-in-law's really got into it. So I said, because he bought a box set, and he was like, "Oh," I said, because he wants to do like the Marines and stuff. So I says, "Well, give us the big Tyranids. I'll do a couple of good jobs on the big ones, like just."
I know we are talking about commissions. How much are you getting for these then, Sully?
Absolute fuck all. This is it, family. I don't mind too much because this I can work on in the back. I can work on this while waiting for other bits and bobs to dry on what I'm doing at the moment. So,
yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
I do enjoy doing them from time to time. It's just that I just refuse to pay the price for them.
No, I saw you doing that, and I thought, that looks like Warhammer, but I don't know. I could just be wrong. I had to ask.
I don't do them very often because, as a rule on my channel, is that they do really, really badly as videos. Yeah. But then that's because my subscribers have joined for tanks and aircraft, so I'll still do them because it's it's something I do. So I'm going to show it off. I know it's going to do shit, but so I do. This is what I do. Look at it. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Look at it. It's pretty much it.
But the thing is, though, these ones, see, I find them way more, in some respects, way more fun because you don't have to follow anything.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? You'll do whatever you want because I've got if I've got Luke's got a bit of space for it. I've got a couple for Telford. I mean, I'm not bothered about being out because that's why I asked them as if there's room, sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good fun because they're just, they're not kind of. Well, I say they're not normal. Obviously, they're getting a bit more. You see them more regular, but you can, just the stuff people can do with them is a lot more free.
Yeah.
Because we always, with everything else we do, we follow the pattern. So then there's like, I mean, if I could get this Anson done for it, that there'll be about 20 other Ansons that look exactly the same as.
Yeah.
It's funny actually. I've done a video coming out tomorrow, but as part of it, I was comparing the recommended paint schemes from a certain manufacturer with kind of British standard colours, and a couple of them look really wacky. Like one of them was supposed to be extra dark sea grey, dark sea grey, and it's like a dark blue and a lighter blue, and it looks really funky, but it looks quite cool. And you think, actually, and it's the sort of thing you could do absolutely on a Warhammer model, like on a Tau or a Space Marine thing. And you think, actually, and you could do it. I mean, guys, you can absolutely do it on a Spitfire stuff, but that somebody will pick it up. You'd be like, well, that's not the right color. It's like, yeah, but that's how I chose to do it, right? But on a Warhammer thing, it's your own scheme, so it's okay.
I was just going to say, we had this discussion, and we should have it again sometime to actually so it was a really good discussion we had was about, is recommended schemes really the answer? Because we've all done it where we've gone, that doesn't look right, and we picked the different scheme or different color, but say different shade of yellow. They're saying there's certain shade and we've gone for this certain shade and it looks better because everything's down in scale, isn't it? It's different in light and approach. What have you undercoated it? Well, you primed it in what color and everything else. And then you weather it down. So it could be like really too bright a yellow, but by the time you've weathered it and added your shite on it and everything and a bit of salt and pepper and everything, it tones it down a bit, But we need to have that debate. But anyways, right, questions, anyone? If you've got any questions, last half hour, last 20 minutes, I should say. If you've got any questions, we'll go and knock them through. I was at Yoga yesterday. I'm quite tempted by this from Ravel, 135th.
Nice.
Is it Luke's? It's called a Luke's, isn't it? Lux. But what got me is that I've done their puzzles, but it actually comes with their 3D puzzle diorama.
Nice.
So whether it's something of it, I paid 25 quid for it here, well 29, but he knocked 4 quid off it for me. Sealed box. So I'm gonna have a crack on this one after I've done the Spitfire, I think. I've never built one of these before, but from saying it's 231 parts, I didn't realize it was so many parts on this one. But it looks like a fun little build. But look at that for wacky colors. Look at that green on it, man. That green.
Yeah. It's that bronze green or something.
NATO, isn't it?
Yeah.
NATO, standard NATO camouflage scheme.
Yeah. Which sticks out like a sore thumb, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a lot brighter than it really looks, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, that is a massive. That shows, for me, one of the problems with Ravel. I think we've all mentioned it. That's a massive box.
Yeah, but that's what gives it very. If you want anything good, it comes in a bigger box. It's like, listen. They've gone to Doritos. That's what they've done. Doritos. How do you sell so many Dorito chips? Oh, we put them in a bag like this, but it's that full of fucking air, and you get 12 chips in the bottom. But it makes it a premium product. That's why they do it, fuckers. It's a crisp packet. It's a crisp packet. Walkers do it. Listen, I've done it. We did an experiment at school. Well, this is 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where we would buy Smith's crisps, right? And then they had wasn't it school? Was it college? It was. We were doing something at college about marketing. That's what it was. Yeah, it was about that. And there wasn't no Smiths, it was Walkers, and then they first brought out the grab bag. Do you remember that? You tipped them out, right? These crisps on scales. There was 2 grams in it between the box standard 30p packet and the 50p size packet. It was a con, absolute con. And the same now with cups in it in McDonald's, large and medium. It's basically the same, just add more fucking ice to it, don't they? To raise the level, don't they? So, yeah, but you are right. It is a massive box.
Because the Luke's isn't a very big vehicle.
No, well, it's roughly. It can't be. It must be 1.5 times the size of a ferret.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at 231 parts, that's a lot of sprue gates, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose most of it's there. And if you go left, go right, there's hell of a movement in. Hang on, let's do the old chip shop challenge.
And that's probably padded out with that 3D puzzle diorama as well.
And let's have a look, shall we? There you go. You look at all that space in there, man. Look at that.
It's like a bag of chips.
Yeah, it is. It is. Wow.
It's probably just half of the box full, I think.
Whereas, in comparison,
Oh, we can only see Sully, Moss.
What have I done?
That's
Oh,
all
sorry.
That's all you need to see.
Sorry.
That's it. It's fine.
Sorry,
It's fine.
apologies. Well,
whereas in comparison, that's obviously a big box, isn't it?
yeah,
That's great box art, man.
yeah.
But it is jam packed.
Fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's got bubble wrap on the top, but
Yeah.
it's full of sprues. So
It's the reason they picked the Spitfire Mark 9 box is that they realized that the size of the tooling, they measured it, they worked out that for sizing that was the same as the Bentley blower, which they've had that box art for that size box for 20 years. They didn't have to do much to it. There's the same size as the Bentley blower, the 120. Is it 124? No, it's 112, isn't it? The Bentley blower, or was it 1:8 scale?
The Bentley blower.
Yeah, was it 1:8 scale, 1:12 scale from Airfix? Vintage Classic now is 1:8. It's the same size box, but you know that's the biggest you can get for a sprue size. You can go a little bit bigger, but there's no point. So they designed it around that, and it fit perfectly, and they got it all in as well. So yeah, you get the 3D. I think that's a really nice idea, that 3D puzzle. I'll have to look, because I've built these 3D puzzles. They're really simple. They're good fun to build, you know. I did the Millennium Eye in London and stuff like that. But yeah, it comes with sheets, pop it out, and then you make a little diorama with it. So yeah, but that's all it is. Is basically that's the size of it there. It's quite big actually.
It's quite long, isn't it?
Yeah, but
it's like BMP size, basically, isn't it?
yeah. But it's 3 sprues. Well, yeah. But,
so that's the whole kit in that bag.
Yeah, the whole kit's in that bag there. But then again, it does come with vinyl wheels. Actually, they look really nice. Actually, look at that.
But that's about the same as the ICM Hummer, which comes in a box like that.
Yeah, but does it come with these fat fucking wheels? Like, look at them. Look at them chunks. And they come with Michelin on the side, Michelin X. So instead of Channel X, it's Michelin, or Fantasy X, it's Michelin X on the side. Michelin 10s. That's really nice, actually. I wonder how much that will be now from Revell. I bet that kit's 40-50 quid from Revell now.
You know, they want 35th scale stuff. Isn't generally that bad,
isn't it?
The 72nd scale armor is shockingly expensive.
Shockingly shite, isn't it? Expensively, yeah.
But the 35th scale, I mean, there's no point really for me buying a 172nd scale Revell kit if there's a 35th scale available, because you pay like a $5 more and you get something which is twice the size in every dimension. You know?
I agree.
Yeah, it's not too bad that look. So 26 quid.
Yeah.
All
right. Where the puzzle modeling? Right. Well, this is about 25 quid's worth, is it?
But 26 quid for the kit. That kit you've got there, Moss, with the 3D puzzle bit on Amazon currently at £23.30.
Bollocks, I overpaid them.
That's why you knocked the 4 quid off.
I mean, it's not bad for $30, right?
It's not a brand new kit. It's pre-owned, but it's pre-owned. So yeah, pre-owned. You know, it's a battered box, like, you know. But yeah, it's 23 quid on Amazon.
When are you building that, Moss?
Probably. I've got the notes.
Probably never.
I don't want to crack on with it.
Okay.
Yeah. Why do you want to build it as well? Do you?
I say I'll buddy build it with you, but it will have to be after Telford now.
Oh, I will. I'll keep it on the shelf then, collecting dust until after Telford then.
Yeah, all right. We'll
We'll have a
build
crack at that. That'd be all right. Yeah, we could do that. I think you've answered this before. Word of Plasma, am I right in thinking I've seen Brett and Luke before many years ago on ICM Friday Night Live shows? I did a lot of modelling a fair few years back, but getting back into it again. That's true.
You would have seen a price on that, yeah.
Yeah. You both on it now, or are you not, Luke?
No.
No.
Okay. Worms to run over me.
That's fine. I didn't. I'm not no politics here. I'm just answering questions.
How long since you were on there, Brett? 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, because I was on there from the very beginning.
Yeah, and it's about 3.5 years since I was on there.
Yep. So it's been a while since we were there, but we were.
Why does it seem that scale modelling in the UK is based in the southwest? I live in London and we have nothing except Hannants. Any thoughts?
It's the centre of the UK, obviously.
Yeah.
Yep.
Devon and Somerset is God's county. Okay, the sun shines on the righteous, but sun Wednesday down here. All right.
I have a theory about that.
Do you really?
I do.
What, the sun shines on the righteous, or the
No? I think that it's more prevalent in the southwest because historically the southwest is more military than anywhere else in the UK.
Yeah.
So you will naturally get that sort of interest in those areas. Whereas the Midlands, for example, couldn't be any more non-military, really. So you don't get the interest. I don't think that's a thing now, but I think historically the southwest was a very militarized area.
Well, and I think if you look at the kinds of interests as well, because I mean, you say the Midlands is not military, but I'm originally from Lincoln. And there are some really big and really good model shops in Lincoln because, of course, it's Bomber County. It's where Lancaster.
West Midlands.
It's like, but the interests of most modelers in Lincoln and around Lincolnshire, that kind of area, tended to be aircraft because you've got Wellington or Scampton, you got all of these things. Either the Red Arrows were based there, the Vulcans were based there. Yeah, so it tends to follow that. Like I mentioned, I get a lot of guys. I get a lot of Merlin pilots and ground crew coming into the shop asking for Merlins, which of course are unavailable. There are no Merlin kits available at the moment, 48 scale. They're all discontinued. So it does, because Yeovilton is 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
So it does tend to follow that. In Southwest, you've got Bovington, you've got Porton Down, you've got the whole Salisbury Ranges. There's a lot of army stuff. So yeah, I think you're right, Luke.
But also, there's another theory as well. The old scale modelers get older and they retire down here.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, you go along the coast, the southwest coast, and the southeast coast. The front, apart from piers, is commodes. You know what I mean? It's like, I think the funniest thing I've ever seen in Brighton was at Worthing. I went to where the funeral parlour was called Next. It was like the most amazing thing ever. Next, I'm coming along. You know what I mean? It's like, and they would a lot of we're in second ownership down here, which is crippling us basically for pricing. Is because everybody wants to retire near fucking Dawlish. Get close to Dawlish, which Dawlish Warren's a shithole. If I was going to move anywhere to the coast, I would catch the ferry and go to the Spanish coast. If I was going, you know what I mean? It's sunny for 3 days a year, normally on a Wednesday, and that's it down in the southwest.
Yeah.
Seaton, mind you, I do like Seaton. I'll give crack to Seaton. I do like Seaton, and Exmouth's quite nice as well. But You know, proper sandy beach, not these beaches that are full of rocks. Do you know what I mean? With the big pebbles. That's not a beach. You can't swim in a pebble beach like that. What? I want proper golden sand that when I eat a sandwich, it ends up in my mouth and crunches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least that doesn't happen with big rocks. Yeah.
Is that well true? But you know what I mean? You know, I like the fact that I can, you know, you get in there and, you know, by the time you walk up the beach, like, you know, you're chafing because of all the sand's caught in your cracks, like, you know what I mean? That's a proper beach.
It's a small price to pay.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I think it kind of goes back to the original point as well, Moss, you know, about the, you know, modeling being a summertime or wintertime activity. It very much depends on, you know, where you are, what you do. It's the same thing in the UK. It's just like, well, depending on, I mean, is modeling a massive thing in the cities, you know, in Birmingham, in Manchester, in London? Well, I mean, not so much, because why would you live in London? A, you're rich, you're a Russian oligarch, or you work in the city, or, you know, otherwise you're commuting in because nobody else can afford to live there. You know, so there are other things to do, right? And the reasons for doing that. Whereas the Southwest, there's fuck all else to do.
Well, do you know what? That's not
You're
quite
absolutely right. So if you live in London or Birmingham, certainly in the city, there's so much going on. Very few people stay at home in the evenings because they're out, and they're generally a younger demographic anyway. So they're out in bars and clubs and restaurants. Whereas modeling traditionally, you need to be at home to do it. You know, and these people just aren't at home because they're in the middle of a big city.
Yeah. That's interesting. Is that not coming up? Merlin kits used to be sold in the viewing area of HMSC Seacork and Coldrose. Yeah. Merlin's I think we need a new tool of a Merlin. Decent tooling of a Merlin. Didn't Airfix release one in 148?
Yeah,
the Afghan one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of their Herrick range.
They're fucking foolish, so I shouldn't swear, but they should be re-releasing that by now. I've put my order in. Well, they listen to me.
Literally, because they were the first models I ever built, those Herrick 48 scale stuff. If Airfix re-release those now, I
would love them to do that. I would buy the lot. The same with the what's the destroyer, Moss, that you've got?
HMS Defender.
Yeah, the modern British one. I'd buy that. But again, you can't.
It didn't sell well. It's like the submarines. Have you seen the price of those Trafalgar submarines?
I was literally just going to say, I picked this up for a bargain price, because these are going on second-hand sites now for like 50 plus quid.
Yeah. Mine was 19 quid. I got it from...
I got this for 20 quid off an auction site. Still sealed. But yeah, they're going for crazy money now. Crazy.
Yeah, I got mine off Mr. Models. No, I didn't even pay that. I'll tell you how much I paid for mine, because I've got it here. Oh, come on. This year, there we go. There you go. There it is. And I did a video on it. Mr. Models. This was this year at Bovington. Mr. Models had one there. £6.95.
Bargain.
Wow.
There it is. That was this year. I saw it there and I thought, I'll fucking have that. But but it never sold well. But I can assure you that is starter set fodder. Because have you seen how easy it is to build?
Oh yeah, it's really easy.
It's so simple. Or like I keep saying, it's two halves stuck together with a penis put on top. You know what I mean? That's all it is. That is starter set fodder. If they could do that for $9.99 or whatever it is, like $14.99 with the paint, because all it needs is two paints, black and grey.
Well, in this one they put, because this is the old gift set or whatever they called it. So you can see in the top there's a price tag from Dobbies, and it was £7 then. From Dobbies. You get 4 paints, a brush, cement, all in the box.
4 paints. What paints are
they? You get silver, matte black, brass, and grass green.
Yeah.
Because because the top of where the Connie Tower is, where the what do they call it, the
Periscope?
yeah, periscope, and you've got the other bits on there. We're all painted green on top, but where the prop on the back is brass, but you can do it as what's it called? Can't you? As
Trafalgar was the only stud that had a prop. The other three variants that you can build in that box had a water jet propulsion system.
Yeah, water jet propulsion system.
So Trafalgar is the only one with the prop.
Yeah. That's it. So that's it. So basically, that's the top one there. You can see the prop there. The bottom there, you've got the propulsion system. But honestly, all you need is black and silver for this, black and grey, and that's all you need.
I was going to say, I think the four paints is stretching it a bit, really.
That's it. That's it. That is it. That is basically it. 2 sprues.
Keep your eye on the channel, because I'm going to video build that. So I'll definitely be using more than 4 paints, put it that way.
Well, yeah.
But I just said
that. I think the starter set, it's like 4 paints. It's like they're stretching it.
As I said,
I mean, if you're buying it normally, yeah.
It's starter set fodder. That's what it is. If I was Dale now, I would be putting that out there. Because it sounds really daft when I say this, but there's so many RN museums and stuff, or anything close to the sea, where they could be selling these as with the paints in. I think all right, starter set, no, gift set wise, but apparently they never sold well. But I'm pretty sure, because they're still in use now, aren't they? These haven't been, they're not all decommissioned now, are they? I think there's still one still going, isn't there?
Maybe. I know the Trafalgar, from a historical point of view, I don't know whether Airfix take that into consideration with what they released in their range or not. But Trafalgar was the first sub to fire a cruise missile in anger. So it's got an historical significance to it, So yeah. And the crowd in the chat says starter sets do more to discourage than inspire. Crappy brush, ship paint, and glue. I disagree.
Yeah, disagree. I
mean, the paint, yes, but
I think they would, in the right location, such as museums, gift shops, that sort of thing, where they're not traditional modelers and they've just seen the real life thing, or they've read about the real life thing, and then they go in the gift shop at the end of their tour and there's a starter set with, in theory, everything in one box to build a model of what you've just learnt about. I think that does a lot to inspire rather than discourage.
I've always said this: if I ever had a model shop, I'm not taking the piss now. If I ever had a model shop, I would be having little LCD screens beside certain kits with a video of the history of that model. As in, so if I had a load of Bearcats for sale, I would have a little LCD screen with either something to plug with headphones on, so they could actually listen, hear the history of it. Yeah. Because I can assure you, years ago, that's how products sold in shops. I remember there was this little worm on a wire, right? And you used to tuck their cardboard in your top, and you make this worm go all the way through your fingers and through a cup and round your arm, and because you would wrap the little, the wire, which you couldn't see, it was like fishing wire, and it made this worm alive. And the reason why Trago Mills sold so many of them was because kids were watching that video of this little worm getting, I want that worm. And the same with the Transformer walkie-talkies. Everybody had them when we were kids from Woolworths, because there was a video of a child there talking to his mate in another room in the house on these, and we all wanted one. I've always said, why don't model company or model shops do that? Have a little LCD screen, or have a screen with videos playing of the, the history of, the Vulcan bomber, only like a 5-minute spiel, and give them interest in, I want to build that now. I'm sure that would help in building models. Just saying.
There was a guy at the Medway show we went to a couple of months ago. I forget the aircraft now. But he'd built the aircraft and he built it in flight on a base, obviously. But in the base, what he'd actually done, he'd got an old iPhone and he downloaded some video footage of the real aircraft and he put that in the base. So when you looked at the model, there was an LCD screen of the real aircraft at an air show, and it was so effective. It was really good, really clever, really clever.
But yeah, definitely. No, I think Kraut's wrong there. I can assure you, these new paints in the pots. If you know, I've given out a lot of these starter sets. I've given away 8 or 9 Tiger ones and about 7 or 8 of the Sherman Fireflies. And I've said to them, mix the paint, add water to it, do 3 coats, and it's fine. You know, the only thing I can say is
there's plenty of people who are accomplished modelers that have made YouTube videos where they've taken either an Airfix or a Valve starter set with their paints, their brush, their glue, and they built it completely out of the box using the paints, the glue, and they've turned out a good model at the end of it. So it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, and I think the purpose of a starter kit, we are not the target market.
Absolutely.
We can buy them and we can make good models out of them. And some, I mean, that the 109F that Airfix just released, it's a fantastic little kit. I mean, it's got some things like they haven't got an instrument panel and they haven't got a control column, which I think are dumb. But the actual kit itself is lovely, and it's like 12 quid for a starter kit, or 11 quid if you buy it off the internet or in my shop. You know,
absolutely. But you're absolutely right. We are not the target market.
Yeah, and the people that come into my shop, the number of like people that come in with children who end up looking. So the very first thing you see when you come into the shop is an Airfix starter kit stand. Kitted out, one side with aircraft, the other side with tanks and cars. And it always draws attention. It's really good because it has a variety of subjects. So you've got, like say, you've got civilian because you've got the cars, you've got military, and you've got aircraft. So, and it's always the place that parents with children will look.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if they ask me what should I buy, he's never done a model, I will recommend an Airfix starter set.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, yes, we're not the target market. Look at the Shannon class lifeboat that I built. If you want to, you can buy that model for 20 quid, bin the paints off because you're not going to use them, bin the brush off because you won't use it, and then scratch build an interior, scratch build all the antennas, scratch build everything, get a crew 3D. You can turn it into a good model, and that's the starter set. So it can inspire you. It inspired me to do that. So,
I mean, how many of us, both like on the panel and in the chat, have gone to Lidl and Aldi and bought more than one starter set with their 7 quid or 7.99 ones? I mean, I've just case in point, I've got 2 here which I've used as example kits for doing a paint video. Nothing to do with these kits at all. They just happen to be cost-effective paint mules. You know,
absolutely. And like the crowd said there, new builders normally turn out a glue bomb. So did I. But the first model kit I built was a glue bomb, absolutely, and the paintwork was terrible. But it's that hook. It's that hook, and for every 10 people that Alex sells a starter kit to, you might only hook one that actually stays with the hobby and develops. And then most of them will build the starter set, and that'll be it. And then they'll be playing football and discover girls, and that'll be it for years. But it's about getting that hook in. That's what they're trying to do.
I remember my earliest memories of building a model. I remember painting it. I remember the glue still being wet and mixing with the paint. I didn't give a damn because I was making it.
It doesn't matter. As long as that child or whoever, because I didn't do it as a child, as long as they've enjoyed the process, they've done it right.
Yeah,
I was just going to say
3 years ago, Luke. That's
the experience I've had, there must be 8. I'm going to average 8 people that I know. Their children have got the model kits from either Aldi or Lidl, and they've asked me advice. If they're adults and these kids, they bought them for the kids, and I thought I'd have a go at this, and I've explained to them what they should do. The real kicker for them is that they've bought another Airfix kit. It doesn't come with paints. They expect kits now to come with the paints and the glue with it. That's what made me laugh. They said, "Oh, don't it come with paints?" I said, "No, it doesn't. They're starter sets, so you get the basics, but you know how to use it, and then you get into the world of scale modeling where you realise that it's not just all about glue.
Hey, you end up with all this bollocks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thousands of pounds.
Yeah. I know of one chap who's a car sprayer, and his son bought his kit, built it up, and they thought, "Oh, I could spray that up." Gets his big fucking like that. Yeah. No detail left, but it was sprayed green. I tell you, no detail.
Shiny.
But then again, these lads who do and I said to him, use a spray can. Oh, I never thought of that. He now does his kits with his child, only using spray cans. He's done, what's it? He's done the Tiger, the Cromwell from Airfix, all with air can. There was another one he did as well. Which one was it? Stuart Honey. He did that with it, all with spray can. So it's a hook, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair, it's a hook for the only one. The amount of people I've given starter sets to over the years is, unthinkable. I've always given out starter sets.
Starter set is essentially a gateway drug, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Definitely. Wow, it's nearly 10:10. So brilliant. Yeah. Sorry, Leslie Tram just made me laugh. Yeah. When you go into Aldi, you come out with an Airfix starter set and $6.99 with a welding mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an English trophy.
Well, I'll just say this: in my Lidl, you can't get Airfix kits, so because we're too posh in the.
I can get with that.
Lidl. There's no Lidl where I live. That's posh.
You're gonna say, yeah.
Wait, the same as where I live.
If you're that posh, James, I suppose you better go to Marks and Spencer's and buy the kits from Revell then instead. Anyway, hello, my best friends into the chat. Hi, Luke. Hope to see you all in Telford. Yeah, I will be there in Telford. Next Monday, we'll be doing an Airfix and chill and be basically aimed at Telford. We're going to see, talk about what we expect at Telford, because then the following week we'll then talk about how we got on at Telford. That's what normally happens.
Unfortunately, I can't be here next Monday night. I've tried to get the time off work, but I will be here the Monday after. And with me in this room will be Jim Clark, because he's staying at my house for Telford.
Oh, is he? Oh, can we all come round?
That's if Jim Clark hasn't been eaten by bear.
Yeah, the bear will be fine.
John Alec, when do you fly back to the States then? On the Sunday or the Monday?
No, actually on the Tuesday morning. So we fly in, we get there, we have a layover in Amsterdam, but we're there in Birmingham the Friday morning. Was it the 8th? And then we're gonna hang around, kind of the bullring area, right? The jewelry quarter or whatever. And then we're taking a train down to over to Telford that Friday evening. And then we're staying there Saturday and Sunday night. We leave Monday morning and we're meeting Sully in
Cosford.
What is it, Cosford or
Cosford, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Midlands, RF Midlands, Cosford.
Yeah, so we're gonna, because the train leaves or drops you off right there. So we're gonna go visit the museum, visit Sully, whatever, and then probably early afternoon we're gonna continue on back to Brum and kind of hang out there or whatever, and then
try not to get
got a place for that Monday night, and Tuesday morning we fly out. Yeah.
John, if you don't have dinner plans in and around Telford for the Saturday night, then drop me a message, because a lot of us are meeting up for dinner on the Saturday night.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luke.
Fantastic.
That sounds great. I will follow up on that. Yep, sounds good.
Oh yeah. So and then I may do something on the Friday before Telford. We did it last year. We had like a little Airfix and chill Friday lunchtime. Just talking about what any rumours that we've heard or anything on the Friday morning. I'm just putting out there because we know that certain companies have released stuff the week before or the day before Telford, and I thought I would just get it in there just in case. I'm not had nothing, all right? Okay, don't shoot the messenger, just in case. Oh, you turn up on Friday and there's nothing to discuss. So I'm hopefully going to try and do something on that Friday, just in case something gets announced in the morning. And if anything does happen, we'll be ready. Even if we just pop on for half an hour and just talk. Till the Friday lunchtime. So, but yeah, but nothing else to report. But anyway, it's been a long show. Thanks all for going.
As I said, mate, just make sure you bring some sort of box, because there's a couple of gifts going to be at Telford for you.
How big? Typing the box.
One's the 4K scale aircraft, and one's a 72nd piece of armor.
Oh, mate. Okay, thank you very much.
But built, not.
Oh, you're a star, mate. Thank you. I'll bring a box. Well, I got my van anyway, so I could just run out with it, couldn't I? And put it in my van. There'll be a box in my van, which should be good. And hopefully, it's not been confirmed yet, but I might come up. I said to Nige, if he needs a lift, I can drive up with him. I'll drive. Going past this door, I could pick him up on the way up, I want to get there for 8:30 because that's when we got to park up and then get in there for 9 o'clock for the opening bit, and then before the heathen get in, those who are not IPMS members, if you know what I mean,
Before the peasants arrive.
yeah, for the peasants, those without a card. Anyway, there you go. We're going on too far now, but as I say, no disrespect. But anyway, I shall see you next Monday. Have a good week, folks. See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.